Is this gonna work? I don't know if that's gonna work or not. If I put it in the other spot, the heat will get to it. Yeah. Take this off. Grab my desk, and then we'll get the chat on here. Talk about a few things. See if anybody comes in this live feed. And yeah. So get my video up here so we can read the comments without being like, eh. And I'm dumb. You'll have to forgive me. I got my windows open. There's a yard guy doing his thing. And I'm getting unloaded, or hopefully. I got a green light still, but you know how that goes. But so every time I go live, hey, maybe it'll finish loading, right? Or unloading. Because I'm 24 hours, well, not 24. I'm 12 hours early. More than 12. I'm like 16 hours early. But I got here, and they're like, yeah, we got overnight parking, so if we can't get you, you just spend the night here. I'm like, sweet. So, I want to go over a few things, because I've been seeing some disturbing, not disturbing, but I'm seeing a trend. Number one, what's the 300 mean? This load is number 300 for light trucking. So, in the 15 months I've been here, actually no, it's more than that. Man, I need to redo a video then. I did a recorded video. I said 15 months. Math is hard, right? 27 months, not 15. So I'll have to put a little flash. I'll have to make a correction. But I've been here 27 months, however you want to look at that. Two and a partial years. And here at Like Trucking. And we've gone through some good times and some bad times. Explain, Steve. Well, I'll get to the shout outs and the comments, try not to be 20 minutes behind like some people. When I came out here, it was 2018. Rates were killer. You could throw a rock and make $1,000 a day. No matter if you went long or short, didn't matter. Guys were making like $7,000 to $10,000 coming out of California. You could hit $1,000 a day, or $900 a day, or even $1,200 a day on the short 4 and 5 and 600 mile stuff. It was gangbusters, right? However, I did not take advantage of that time. So in 2019, when the rate started to decline, I had to make some pretty fast adjustments, and 2019 was actually a pretty good year for me. Now, there were some things I had to learn about myself. I had to learn what I needed to do. I had to learn that I had to have better self-discipline, and I had to learn to do what was best for not only me, but for my family, and also for my trucking. So there's a balance, right? And the problem with freedom is that sometimes you can mistake freedom for not wanting to work, right? So I made my adjustments. I busted butt. I was able to show up at Matt's with no guilt of last year. And, and pretty much run a lot smarter, a lot more consistent than I did, the year before. And it's a shame that I had to learn that lesson late, because I know people that ran their butts off in 2018, saved up so much money that they were able to put a hefty down payment on a new truck. And now they're driving a new truck with all the warranties in place at probably the same amount of truck payment I've got now. Except they're not having that high maintenance cost because they got warranties, right? So, live and learn. That's how it is. I've been doing this owner operator thing for 6 years now. And there's quite a few things I've learned. But we're on load 300, getting ready to deliver it. And hopefully the plate will drop, and I'll be in Joplin, Missouri tonight. So, but, so let's go over some comments here. GNC Family Truck and Ralph Lowe, good afternoon. Jason Breslin, Little Viking Coach, Kimasabi, Chasing America, Bob G, Truck and Scott, Pale Rider TV, Nittany Lion, Right Lane, Provost, Mike Bright. Little Viking Coach says, hi, Eddie. Right Lane, Early Bird. Yep, 300 is your cholesterol. No, it's not. Daniel Adami says, hi. Let's fix something here. All right, fix that. Daniel, say something. All right, Right Lane. Greetings from Northeast Oregon. I almost said Oregon, but I don't think that's what you're trying to say. 300. I am Sparta. Says GNC. Nothing witty. What's up? Mike Miller waving from BFE, Nebraska. Next Gen says hello YouTube. 300 great movie. Yep, I agree. 300 is a great movie. So I got a list of things because right now there's a lot of difference in opinions on how people should be running trucking businesses right now, both on YouTube and on Facebook. And while I don't have all the answers, I'm going to go over a few basic things that if you're thinking about becoming an owner or lease guy, if you're thinking about starting a business, or if you're struggling right now, let me mute this so you guys don't get deaf. Maybe it could help you out, because what I find is there's a lot of questions. So and so, should I do this? Or so and so, I was doing that, and and like there was a guy that called in on Truckers Coach so that literally had not done any math, and he literally asked him, hey, I'm doing this and this, is that a good deal? And everybody was like, run, it was a bad deal, right? And it's like, there are companies out there that will take advantage of the fact that you more than likely did not come up with a business plan, have bad credit, and you don't do math, and you haven't had any kind of business training, right? I'm going to venture to say that between 95 and 98% of owner operators and lease operators out here have never had a formal business class, myself included. And I think that there are people that will take advantage of that, but when times get like they are now, this extreme, downturn, that really kind of messes with everything, and that's, when I said earlier about we're hitting the reset button on, and the weaknesses in their plans are going to come to fruition. They're going to come to the surface. And so there's three things that you can do to survive this downturn. So let's say you've already made this decision and you're already an owner operator, you bought a truck 2 months ago, or you bought a truck 6 months ago, and you've never seen anything like this. Well, first thing you got to look at is, guess what? You learn how to survive this, you're going to be good, right? And you can sit there and say, during that whole pandemic recession, I survived. Make a t-shirt, make yourself happy, right? And so that's the good part, but the hard part is getting to the other side of the battle, right? So right now, everybody's focused on the low rates that we're seeing in the spot market, 70, 80, 90 cents a mile. I've seen them, you've seen them, and the brokers that offer them, I won't give them the time of day, okay? And so there's a lot of hatred towards brokers. There's a lot of hatred towards that platform. And so if you went up there to Washington, D.C. to see if they could change the natural order of things that's happened, more power to you. But the reality is whatever things that you accomplished in Washington, D.C. will not help you now, okay? If you are waiting for a triple P loan, or if you're waiting for some kind of government assistance and you thought it was coming to you and you thought that was going to save your business and it's not, A lot of people have been turned down. A lot of people are feeling a harsh reality right now. Because a lot of people were initially approved, but then now they're saying, not so fast, right? So there's probably only a few people that loan would have rescued their business, okay? And the problem with that, we're not going to go into a big debate about the triple P loans, but the problem with that is that you give the government more power over your money. There's a lot of fine print stuff that really should make you nervous. And you know, when it comes to a brick and mortar business, they have no choice but to shut down, and the government has caused that. But like in trucking, you might feel like you're forced to shut down, but in reality, you can keep moving. The only time I've been really parked throughout all this is by choice. Now, have I missed a day or two because of load volume? Absolutely. But for the most part, I can still bring in some revenue. And so there are people that were chomping at the bit on these triple P loans, and you know, and some people got a huge amount of money that didn't need it, and then you got people that it would absolutely save them, you would think, and that they can get it. So that's a whole different debate. You know, the whole idea is that there's a lot of people suffering right now, and you have to make adjustments now, whether you're going to get the triple P loan or not, right? And so if the brokers are an issue with you, and the rates, the average rates are an issue with you, then one of the things you might want to look at is changing your platform. How do you find the freight? Now, people will just automatically yell at you and tell you to get contract. Go knock on some doors and get some contract. Well, that's more of a challenge, right? You have a bunch of drivers that are barely able to be a salesperson to the brokers, and you want them to go into the office of some shipper. That could be a challenge. You know, I'm not saying it can't happen, but I'm saying it could be a challenge, and that's the big part. So if you know, and it goes back to my football analogy. If you don't like to be tackled, don't play football, right? And so if the broker average stat rates or average 1, 2, 3 low board rates or whatever doesn't work for you, then maybe change your perception. In other words, you know, if you're focused, you know, a lot of people talk in Coach's video about, you know, dollar can't run a business on $1.30, $1.20 a mile, especially if you're making 80%. But that's kind of a blanket statement, because some people have costs that would cover, and other people that doesn't even get near the cost. So which is it? So you change your focus. Okay, instead of rate per mile, let's look at rate per day. But yet you don't want to be that guy running 700 miles a day at $1 a mile. You don't want to be that guy either, in my opinion. Again, these are all just my opinions. And I don't have all the answers, but maybe I can push you in the right direction to help you find your own answers. And that's what this is all about, right? And I'll get to the comments here. So if your platform isn't working good, change it. Here's a perfect example. Okay, so let's say you're a cook somewhere for, you know, everybody's always talking about flipping burgers, right? Okay, so let's say you're a burger flipper at $12 an hour. Okay, and you go home and your landlord said, you know what, I've sold the house, so you got to move. No fault of your own, you got to move, right? And you can't find a roommate, you can't find a right place, and you end up paying more rent, right? Got a red light, so we're going to make this quick. So now you got to make $15 an hour. So you got to do one of two things. You either got to quit your job or get a second job. So in our world, you either got to change your platform, or you got to find different avenues of money. And in the whole blanket statement, you should just park your truck, that only works if you got multiple streams of income. Because if you're the sole breadwinner And you can get your truck and trailer payments deferred, which should keep you running. That should lower your cost per mile, right? If we're going to be focused on costs. But at the same time, you still need money coming in. Now, if you park completely and collect unemployment, that might work, and that would be if you have other streams of income and you don't want to wear the truck out for $1.10 a mile. That it's understandable. But it requires a multiple stream of a second or third stream of income to be able to do that. So the people that don't have any extra avenues, they don't have that option, and so maybe that's something that you kind of work on at this point. Change your platform. If the spot market with this company is not going to work, well, maybe if I go to this company with contract freight, they haven't slowed down or their rates are better, or maybe I need to go to a set mileage rate for a drop and hook company or that kind of thing. Change your platform. Meanwhile, you find a bunch of old junk and try to sell it on eBay. I mean, every little bit helps. So changing your platform is one of the key things to survive in this downturn, okay? Now, here's problem number 2, credit. So let's say you got $20,000 in the bank and you're like, you know what? I'm good. I can park this truck for 2 months. Okay, that's great. That's great. When I was at Landstar, I ran into guys that did that all the time. Rates went down. We're parking the truck. We ain't running for this cheap freight, right? Okay, so let's say that I do this load and my turbo's about to go out. But this is the last load. I'm going to sit home for a month, right? Turbo doesn't go out yet. I don't know it's about to go out, but turbos are ticking time bombs anyways. So I go home, I deplete my 20 grand by staying home for 2 months. Then I come back out, I blow the turbo. What am I going to pay for with that? Well, if you don't have a credit card, what are you going to do? Okay. So if you have money in the bank, don't mistake that for maintenance money. So you got to have home bills and your necessities in one account and then a maintenance account in the other. And if you decide to park for 2 months, do not take money out of that maintenance account, because the truck's going to need it when you come back out, regardless if you're running or not. Okay? Now, if you don't have a credit card, if you don't have credit, having $20,000 in the bank can give you a false sense of security. Also, having credit can give you a false sense of security. So the best part is look at both worlds, right? You want money in the bank, specifically in the maintenance that you never touch other than the truck. And not even the account that pays your truck payment or trailer payment. Your maintenance account. That is important to have that nest egg no matter what. Whether you're running good or not, okay? And then at the same time, work on your credit. If you have a bad credit score, get a small credit card if you can, and build your credit up slowly. Because like what a lot of people don't realize is like some of these Schneider finance guys, I'm going to pick on you for a minute. You get a 3-year lease, and then at the end of the 3 years, you got to get a balloon, and either Schneider will finance it, or you can get outside financing. And a lot of guys will get the outside financing because then it keeps their payment low and they go to a monthly deal. Whereas if you continue the payments with Schneider on the balloon, sometimes you'll be paying more per week, and you're looking at another 1.5 years or so of payments. So it's technically kind of a 5-year lease, which is normal, which is the industry standard for lease purchases. Now, if you spent all 3 years and you didn't put any money away, and you didn't, let's say you went to Schneider Finance because you didn't have the best credit, okay? Not every SFI guy has bad credit, but there are quite a few that do. So you've got to look at that 3 years as this is a time where I need to get money saved up, and get your credit built up. Because let's say that you're able to save up 10 grand, not your maintenance account, that's different, but you're able to save up 10 grand by yourself. And when he goes to finance the balloon, you can throw 10 grand at the bank, say, hey, look, I can do this for 10 grand. Boom, you get it refinanced, no problem. But building credit is important. So a lot of these people that are going to be sitting at home depleting their complete accounts by not running, the first time they have a repair, if they're out of money and they don't have credit to fix it, boom, you're done. Game over. Figure it out, right? So there are some advantages to sitting. So it depends on your personal situation. Now, if you just bought your truck 3 months ago and you haven't had time to build everything up, that's why I've pushed that credit is important. And so I don't recommend starting any business, whether it's a brick and mortar, a trucking business, an online business, without some kind of credit or revolving credit. Because there are times, and again, it goes to kind of responsibilities. And priorities, right? So if you didn't work on your credit and you spent money on like vacations, stuff that you didn't really need, that could be a problem. So, so it's the third thing. That goes into the third thing. Priorities. So use this time to really find what the weakness is. That's what I've been doing. I've been trying to eliminate the digital noise. Let me close the window here. I've been trying to eliminate the digital noise so I can focus on what I need to focus on. And there's too many distractions out there. There's too many people crying and hurting and you watch these call-in shows, not just Truckers Ghost, but Jeffrey Likes and anybody else that's doing advice, especially on Facebook. And there are a lot of people that honestly, this is the first time they've dealt with something like this. This is kind of the, this is the situation. And you had people that went out of business in 2018. Well, how does that happen in the $3 market? Well, you didn't master the platform, you didn't have good credit, and your priorities were off. Because if you have $10,000 a month in expenses, well, how can you eliminate some of that? And that goes to the priority thing. What's a necessity and what's not. I would rather have, instead of buying a $80,000 camper, we bought a $80,000 house. Instead of buying a $20,000 car, we bought 5 acres of land. And things that are basically investments that could definitely benefit me in the future. Now, I'm pretty blessed because, again, I have multiple streams of income. And I don't take that for granted. And I guarantee you that if I was the sole breadwinner, I'd be kind of freaked out too. But make the adjustments that I need. Okay, you know what? I've determined that I never want to be a slave to a truck, but hey, guess what? If I'm the sole breadwinner, I'm not a slave to the truck. I'm a provider for my family. So I gotta take the long runs, or I gotta stay out a month at a time. And then when, and if there's some meat I can take off the bone, then, then I don't have to slave away. You got a lot of people that think, well, we deserve more. We deserve this. We deserve that. I had a big, long discussion with a friend of mine about we deserve to be paid better. And the reality is that if you're running this business pretty good, you're making more than most police departments. The basic patrol guy. And those guys are getting shot at and dealing with meth heads and stuff like that. And is it a little bit more dangerous for us now because of the COVID thing? Absolutely. But at the same time, we have that flexibility. We have that, ability to work. We have that ability to change. I could literally park my truck and go work as a day cab at a company, and just wait it out that way. Um, but again, I look at all my options and what my backup plans are. And I haven't made it 6 years without having backup plans and worst case scenarios and everything else. And I'm not perfect by no means. I've had to relearn a few things in this business as well. Um, it's been a I mean, I went from one extreme to the other with like trucking. I went from not working enough but making killer money to working hard and making money to now we're not making that much money because of the market conditions. And so if, if the supply and demand platform isn't working for you, well, how can you continue your business and not rely on that? Well, there's products that don't rely on supply and demand. They're always in demand, right? And that's essentially what I did. I'm doing nothing but water, soda, paper products, and like this is a load of pallets. And things that got to move regardless of conditions. Are there more water loads when there's a demand for it? Yeah, but they're pretty steady anyways. We've all got a case of water in our trucks. you know um so those are the three main things. I was talking to Provis about this today, and he agreed, and he said you should do a video on it. I said, hey, why not? And I didn't know how long it's going to take for them to unload me. And I thought, every time I go live, there's a red light that comes on, in the dock, and then I can go. So if you're struggling right now and you're looking for answers, the answers are in yourself. They really are. You have to be honest with yourself, and you have to analyze the situation. No one's going to give you the answers. Some people are going to ask, okay, what do I do? What you need to do is find the people that are doing okay now, the people that are successful now, and say, how are you doing this? And they'll probably tell you something that you didn't know. They'll probably tell you something that, like, wow, I didn't think of that. Or, some people have gotten lucky, but then doesn't mean that you can't get lucky. If you find somebody that's got a dedicated contract with one broker, then ask him how he did that, how he or she did that. And the good news is there's light at the end of the tunnel, because I'm getting calls from brokers now. I'm getting cold calls from brokers. And there was a load today a broker today that called me on a load coming out of Springfield, and it was going to Manhattan, Kansas. And I knew, and it was like 280 miles. And so he's like, well, I said, I'll be empty in Tulsa. So I don't know, when's it pick up? He said Springfield on Thursday. So I'm like, all right, well, I'd lose a day. So there's that, and it's about 180 mile deadhead. So there's that. And then I said, so how far is it from Manhattan to Kansas City? Because that's the closest market. And he said, like 120 miles. So now I'm looking at 180 plus, 180 plus 220. So basically 300 miles, right? And empty miles. Because worst case scenario, Friday in Manhattan, Kansas, I can't find a load. I go home. So that's another 280. So either way, I'm kind of screwed on the empty miles. So now I got to look at rate per day. And so I was like, well, here's the deal, man. I got to give you a rate per day, and I know you're not going to like the number. So I don't want to be an a-hole, but I'm going to tell you how I got to this number. So I told him my thought process. And guess what? He was like, wow, that's really cool. Well, what's the number you're going to give me? And I gave him that number. He's like, yeah. I said, well, just out of curiosity, what's the number if I was sitting in Springfield right now? And he's like, he told me the amount, and I was like, yeah. Well, thanks for this conversation. And I didn't tell him to piss off. I didn't was mean, but he appreciated how I approached in a nice way of how I came to my number. I just didn't say, well, I want $1,000. Oh, you can't do that, click, And so, because if I had done that, he would have been like, scratch him off the call list, you know. And if I do call him for a load that I need, he might be less likely to negotiate because, you know, I was being unreasonable. So I told him, I said, this number might seem unreasonable to you, and it wasn't $1,000, by the way. And here's why, and he appreciated that. And I said, and I told him, I said, the successful brokers are the ones that take the time to understand our side of things. And I appreciate your being open-minded and listening to what I had to say. And it was a good conversation, even though he didn't get the load booked, and he had a positive kind of attitude, and that's easy to deal with. And so that's how you handle the platform of brokers. You know, sitting there calling their names or demanding to see their billing, or calling them crooks on YouTube, or calling them out and all that stuff, that doesn't do you any good, because all you're doing is taking the platform and you're chaining it with your own BS. You know, and to me, that seems like, don't crap or you eat, right? You know, I always laughed at these bands that would tick off the biggest promoters in Springfield and then wonder why they couldn't get a gig anywhere. You know, it was all the promoter's fault, you know. So there's a right way to approach things and a wrong way to approach things. So if you're not a good salesperson, or if you're not a very patient person, or if you can't be nice when talking to someone that you see as an enemy, guess what? You're going to struggle. So then that's fine. If you don't like brokers, there's nothing wrong with that. But if that platform's not working for you, find a different platform. It's that simple. And it's just like if you had a job flipping burgers and that wasn't paying the bills, you only got 1, 2 things that you can do. 3 things. 1, get a different job that pays better. 2, reduce your costs at home to where you can afford to live off that wage. Or 3, find a second job, a second means of income. And that's the key. That's the key to surviving this down market. And regardless of where you work and what platform you're using, building your credit and setting your priorities straight is key in any market. And if you can follow those 3 things, just 3 things, you'll find what you need to do. And if you don't have the answers, you're going to find the people that will have the answers. And you know, there are business courses that you can take with OIDA. There, you know, but the most part, find the people. Like, for example, I'm going to take Daniel Adami. I'm going to pick him out, let him earn his wrench here, okay? Daniel Adami was having some issues booking freight over Schneider, right? And then when he had the big breakdown, it really kind of brought to light some of the weaknesses that he had in his business, okay? So when we all had a big powwow with him, we told him that use this moment as a teaching tool, and if you can't figure out the load board, hire somebody or find somebody that's more successful with the load board and have them help you. If you're having trouble managing your finances, find a person to at least help you manage those finances. If you can't learn it, which, you know, a lot of people can't learn. Sometimes I have trouble learning. I'm not saying Daniel can't learn it, but what he did was he went out and found somebody successful, took them under his wing, and they're not just doing it for him, they're showing him. And he's making the steps, and he's doing pretty good right now. So that's kind of the key, is surrounding yourself with people that are successful. Surrounding yourself with, like, well, you know, everybody else is parking, why are you still moving? What's your secret? You know, and then they'll tell you. And if it's something that irritates you, then maybe you got to look deep within yourself and figure out what you need to do. Well, maybe you know, so-and-so said that because I have bad credit, I'm not going to make it. That ticks me off. But if you talk to every successful person, they got good credit. Well, maybe there's something to that. So, okay, what can I do? I can get my credit improved. And, you know, Credit Karma and all the credit card companies have, you know, apps that will help you come up with a game plan on how to improve your credit. You know, YouTube can be a good resource for a lot of things, but there's also a lot of stuff that you may not want to follow. Like, Like when I was researching gun stuff, I didn't subscribe. I've only subscribed to about 4 or 5 people because I didn't want to come across that one guy, that gun guy that, you know, might just be kind of full of themselves and not have good information, you know, and because gun stuff, that's pretty important. I don't want to buy something or have a technique that could essentially hurt me, you know. So I did, you know, in these videos I took with a grain of salt. I liked individual videos and I took information from all of them, and then I made my choices from there, you know. And there were some reliable ones, you know, in that world, and you know, and I followed them, but for the most part I had to separate things in my head and okay, now the tough part is if you're completely new, you don't know any of this stuff, know that companies are going to take advantage. You don't have bad credit, we'll help you out. You don't have a good platform, we'll help you out. You know, there are people that will dispatch you for 5%. So if you're at an 80-20 company, now you're making 75%. Guess what? It's going to be a little bit harder to keep moving if the rates are the way they are, right? So is that cost effective? Well, if it gives you consistency and you become more successful, then yeah. But if it just becomes another bill, another burden, then maybe not so much. You know, maybe have, you know, go up to someone, hey, do you have trouble, you know, dispatching yourself? Oh, no. So show me how to find the good lane. Show me what you do to get the success that you have. You know, and if you look at someone's life and they're not successful, you really don't want to follow what they say, but you still can use them as an example. Okay, well, that person did this and this and this. That's definitely not the right thing. So I'll learn not to do that. That's something not to do. And you can still learn from it. So, all right. Let's go with the comments, and then we'll probably end this video because according to my air gauge, we're getting close. Wow, it has been. I pulled a James Best and a bigrigceo, and I'm 20 minutes behind. RD trucking right lane. Netflix, tell me. Man, Netflix. RD trucking John Armstrong. Screaming Demon, there are guys who got their payments deferred and are just spending the money they would have paid and spending it on trucks, cars, boats, not saving it at all. LOL. Screaming Demon, you bring up a good point. So if I'm sitting here, and here's one of the things I had to value when I was home. My cost is X amount per month. If I get my payments deferred, now my cost is decreased by at least 30 cents a month. Well, there's that extra money that's missing from some of the spot rates, so I could still run and still make a profit. Little White Coach Sonar can call into the Truckers Coach and get a second job as assistant coach, says Little White Coach. Talking about Eddie, working on my credit at the moment, just disputed all my discrepancies yesterday. Hopefully it'll get a bit better. All right, John, good deal. Did you see the trucking owner who took a $1.5 million relief loan and got arrested by the FBI for buying a Rolls Royce and back child support? Wow, that's no, I did not see that. Your thoughts on third-party warranties? If you get a third-party warranty, you want to get it at the beginning of the purchase. You don't want to purchase after the fact. I would find the best reputable ones, and you're going to get a lot of mixed reviews. So if you can get a factory extended warranty, the better. But the third party, there's a lot of hoops you got to jump through. It's like trying to get health insurance after you've broken your arm. Big Houston's in the hotel. Most third-party warranties aren't worth the paper. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Jeez. Daniel got fired from a trucking company and no way home without a credit card. Right. And here's the thing. So I know a lot of people say, well, I won't get a credit card because I know I'll spend it. So again, it goes, okay, so that tells me the root of your problem is willpower. So there are ways to combat that, you know.
Say a command.
Exit. So if that's really an issue, then you study of like, well, how do you keep from using that credit card? You know, how do you acquire willpower? And so you work on that. Okay, well, maybe there's some willpower trick videos.
Volume is at 70%.
I don't care, obviously. And you know, so, but it's getting harder and harder to run a business without a credit card at all. And you want to have that backup plan. Credit card will get you home, whether it be a plane ride or a bus ride or renting a car. You know, even if you get like $1,000 credit card, that'll get you home, right? So you put a Netflix bill on it, if you can afford one, and just pay it off every month. You know, show some credit history. So, and if you feel that your willpower won't let you keep a credit card, then work on that, the root of that. Christopher can help you, but it can help you, but I don't think it's a great backup plan. I'm scamming through these. Deal. Hello, Don. What's up? No, I'm not saying those words rightly. Day cab slim. It's 2020. If you don't have a credit card, get one ASAP. Day cab in the building. James Best a lot of crap for having the 22 credit cards that he's bragged about. But what all he's doing is what a lot of business owners do. They're utilizing a revolving door credit. And as long as he keeps on top of the 0% and still keeps getting them offered, and he has willpower to not use it for frivolous things, like he mentioned the other day that he will not use a credit card for Chrome. He will use it for repairs. And think about this. In one of his live feeds, he showed that he had 15 grand in the bank, right? Well, he's had over $20,000 in repairs this year alone. So if he didn't have that credit card, even though he saved up a good 15 grand, he would be out of business right now. So there's a utilization there. So anyways, guys, figure out what's going to help you and go to the right people for help. And the three things is look at your platform and change it if you need to. Fix your credit and your money spending cost issues if you have them. Even if you don't, where can you shave off a little bit? And then set your priorities up. And you do that, you're going to make it. 6 years, I've learned a thing or two. So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I got a green light. And I'm getting out of here. So anyways, guys, take it easy.